Good morning, everyone. My name is Teresa Conroy-Roth, and you are watching the latest episode of Lightning Leadership. With me today, I am so excited, is Ravin Jesuthasan. He is a best-selling author and a thought leader in AI, human capital, and the future of work. He also just happens to be the global transformation leader of Mercer, transformation services business. He's recognized as one of the leading management thinkers by Thinkers 50, one of the 25 most influential consultants in the world by Consulting Magazine, one of the top 8 future work influencers by Tech News, and one of the top 100 HR influencers by HR Executive every single year since 2019. This one, I'm so honored. He's a regular participant and presented at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos since 2015, and he's a regular keynote speaker for major HR conferences all around the world. He's a faculty member of Caltech and a frequent guest lecturer at Oxford University, Northwestern University, New York University, and the University of Southern California. He's the author of 6 books and over 250 articles on the future of work and AI, including 15 for Harvard Business Review and the Sloan Management Review. He has a book called Work Without Jobs. It's a Wall Street Journal and Amazon bestseller and was named one of the top 10 business books in 2023. His new book, which we're going to talk about today, is The Skills-Powered Organization, The Journey to the Next Generation Enterprise. Ravin, thank you so much for being on our show today.
Oh, thank you, Teresa. It's lovely to be here with you.
Thank you so much. So let's just get started. For those of you, the folks that have watched this series, we always ask about the zap moment. When did you first realize that you were a leader?
That's a really good question. It was probably sometime I would say in the mid 90s, probably in that 95, 96 period. I had joined what was then Towers Perrin right after my MBA as an associate consultant, and was doing the grunt work on projects, like as do most people. But I had really started to focus and develop my expertise around looking at the economic impact and analysis of different people decisions on the value of organizations, their stock prices, etc., and had progressively really become a bit of an expert in the space. And, about 18 months into my tenure of being an associate, I, had this realization that, people were sort of, despite my level, which was relatively junior, my opinion was being sought. And I was being asked for, what do you think about this? And how would you do this? And how would you tackle that problem? And can we have you be an expert on this project or that project? I was like, wow, I'm, not just the worker bee here, but I actually have maybe slightly more value than that. So that was probably the first time. So I didn't have any conferred authority, if you will, but I was just being asked for my perspective because presumably it was valued.
That's awesome. So this latest book, why did you write this book? Tell us about the process going into it.
Yeah. So, Teresa, as you know, this is my 6th book. And I jokingly say that I've written my last 5. My last 5 books have all been written by people who don't have a real job. What I mean by that is they've been written by me, and I'm a consultant. I don't think of myself as actually doing anything of substance. And, they've been written by my good friends who are all academics. But I really wanted this book to be written with someone who has that real job. And so my co-author is the Chief Strategy and People Officer at Standard Chartered Bank, 170-year-old bank that, with this really rich history and legacy and, making the sorts of changes that we're talking about in that culture, in that environment, to me was really intriguing. And Tanuj and I have been friends for many years. I've been a huge fan of hers. And, being able to sort of work with her to tell the story of their journey. So this is a book for the practitioner, right? It's not a theoretical book. We share perspectives on, kind of the art of the practice, if you will, but it very quickly gets into how do we make these changes happen? How do we re-architect work and the human experience of work for that ever more agile organization that is, that is going to remain fit for purpose in a world of just accelerated volatility and velocity of change. Yeah.
So Ravin, what are the top 3 things that people that are interested in learning more about you or about the book might be able to gain by reading the book?
Sure. So firstly, the book is available on the usual channels. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, etc. We also have a website for the book, and it's www.skillspoweredorganization.com. And on that website, your listeners can download a free excerpt of the book. So a couple of things, Teresa, that we learned. The first being that there were 3 core capabilities for that organization that was truly world-class in being skills-powered and being built to reinvent. The first is this notion of work design, a clear framework and method for translating the changing demand signals for work, demand signals from customers into how does the work that people do tactically and tangibly need to change? And then how does the skills that they need to do the work actually need to evolve? What skills are being rendered obsolete? What skills are changing? What new skills are demanded? A clear snapshot of the supply of those skills. Who has those skills in my organization today?
Mm-hmm.
And then within that, being able to match that demand and supply, recognizing all of the other options we have beyond just, talent in our organizations, AI, gig talent, outsourcing, offshoring, onshoring, etc.
Yeah.
So that's that demand signal. That's the work design piece. The second was being able to translate our understanding of the demand and supply and the gaps that need to be closed into specific developmental plans. Not just learning for the sake of learning or learning, as it used to be done in the past, but actual design of learning in the flow of work. With a clear sense of the impact that learning is going to have. And then thirdly, to ensure that we're not just doing development for the sake of development, ensuring that the deployment of skills back to work is seamless and efficient. And in the book, we talk about 3 models for connecting talent to work: the fix, the flex, and the flow model. But those 3 things, Teresa, consistently came out as being the 3 core capabilities of that next generation enterprise.
This is absolutely huge, so important. So many of the senior leaders and executives that I speak with, specifically in the Midwest and in the central part of the country, right? AI is one of those topics, specifically in the manufacturing space, but also how do we intertwine it into our existing organization? How do we help upskill, if you will, the folks that we have? Folks are using it. There really aren't necessarily the controls or the protocols in place, right, to even know what to do with it. And I think if you look at some of the larger think tanks, specifically in that tech exec space, everybody is so cutting edge. So I think by your book, I think it'll help a number of folks kind of think outside the box, if you will, as it relates to their biggest group of folks and their biggest resource within their organization, which is their people. Right.
Yeah.
But again, just trying to figure out ways to do that are safe and manageable, but also cost effective. But your resources are absolutely key.
Yep. No, thank you. And I appreciate that. And you've said something really important, Teresa, which is, and I think many business leaders don't really fully appreciate how AI is fundamentally changing the work and the skills demanded of work. I think many tend to have a binary view of the world where here's the machine that's going to replace the person in this job today versus the machine that is going to, substitute some of the tasks. It's going to augment a bunch of others, but it's also going to create new work. We see that consistently, particularly in manufacturing, production and logistical environments, where the new technology requires someone, quite simplistically, to install it, to calibrate it, to operate it, to maintain it. All of those are new skills that are going to be required, and someone has to do that. Until machines can sort of install themselves and calibrate themselves and maintain themselves all on their own, there's going to be gainful employment that needs to be provided to a bunch of folks.
Well, thank you, Ravin. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on. For those who are watching on LinkedIn, Please feel free to like, comment, share. For those of us that are on YouTube, please feel free to like or comment, and let's keep the conversation going. Ravin, thank you so much for coming on today. I really do appreciate you and your thought leadership.
Oh, thank you, Teresa.
Have a great day. We hope to see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Oh, sure.